Fermi's paradox is a simple question, first brought to us in the early 1900s by Enrico Fermi. And pretty much it's just saying, there's a lot of life here on Earth. Where is it? Is there any more outside of Earth, or is this all we got? Life exists all over Earth, in the hottest climates to the coldest, underwater to in the ground and to up in the air. So how do we answer this question? Where is the life? How do we figure it out? Do we just wait for life to come by? Some aliens land on their UFOs and hope they're coming in peace? No. What scientists have been doing since Enrico Fermi first asked the question is to look into the stars. Scientists have been looking for similar planets like Earth, orbiting around similar stars like our Sun. Because if life works here, why wouldn't it work in another place just like this, but in a different solar system? Or maybe in a different galaxy. Here are 25 stars. Now imagine that each star represents a single star solar system in our galaxy, the Milky Way. 6 of these stars have an orbiting planet which is located within the star's habitable zone. The habitable zone is the distance a planet must be from a star to have liquid water on its surface, which is pretty important to all life we know, considering that it makes up for a large percentage of our bodies. Now 4 of these stars are a Sun-like star, which means that that star within the solar system is about the same size and strength of our Sun. Collectively, that means that 4.4% of all solar systems within the Milky Way are expected to have at least one habitable planet, which is a lot. So, if 4.4% of all solar systems within the Milky Way are expected to have some habitable planets, where are all of the people who should be living on these planets? Why wouldn't every habitable planet have some form of life on it? Shouldn't at least a couple of these solar systems have developed intellectual life that we could have noticed by now? So how does life come about? Does it appear from nothing, or does it arrive from outer space? Well, there are 3 main theories of life which most scientists ascribe to. The first is the primordial soup. This theory was proposed by Stanley Miller and Harold Urey, and it demonstrates that organic molecules could have been formed from inorganic materials. Miller and Urey supplied an electrical charge to a mixture of methane, ammonia, and hydrogen. Suddenly, amino acids, which are the basics of all life, were formed. The second theory is clay. Alexander Graham Crane Smith theorized that clay, when submerged in samples of ancient water, would act as a sponge, holding molecules in the same way DNA does. These molecules would have been close enough to each other to perform chemical reactions and form bonds. Smith continued to say that these molecules would form and reform until they resembled something like RNA. The final theory of life is water world. In this theory, life found its way in underwater alkaline hydrothermal vents, which is a mouthful. These vents are similar to the black smokers you may have heard of before, but just a little bit less hot. This theory is the most complete of all 3 that I've talked of, because it provides an explanation for where the energy and the catalyst needed for chemical reactions to happen could have been found. The first form of energy is a product of the proton gradient, which powers all cells. It happens when there is a difference in electrical charge across a cell. In water world, hydrogen ions are highly concentrated along the outside of the alkaline vent. Energy would have been transferred from the outside to the inside in an attempt by the protons to neutralize their charge. The second form of energy could have been produced by the electron transfer chain. The inside of these alkaline vents were mainly comprised of hydrogen and methane. When these elements escaped the vents, they would have come into contact with elements of the ocean, which were very different, and they were mainly carbon dioxide. The electron transfer chain takes electrons from a donor atom and gives them to another across a membrane. The best part about this theory is that the alkaline vent itself would have acted as the membrane of the cell. In this way, energy would have been released, which could have been used to power chemical reactions that could have formed amino acids, which are the building blocks of all life. Unfortunately, none of these reactions are possible without a catalyst. Catalysts are substances which speed up a reaction, and they are essential in any theory of life. There are two catalysts which could have caused chemical reactions to occur. They are green rust and molybdenum, which is really hard to pronounce. Both of these are minerals commonly found around alkaline vents. These minerals could have acted as enzymes, which are biological catalysts. Green rust would have been the catalyst for the protein gradient-based energy production. It would have produced a phosphate-containing molecule, which would have been able to store energy for more reactions. Molybdenum is the most common bacterial catalyst because it can be formed when molybdenum-containing molecules oxidize. The CO2, which was so prominent outside of the alkaline vents, could have been broken apart by natural processes. Then oxygen would have been released into the environment where molybdenum would have been able to catalyze a reaction with the help of the protein gradient. After a stable way of obtaining energy and catalysts had been established, reactions would have been able to occur ad nauseum around these alkaline vents. Quick and drastic genetic mutations to these molecules would have produced amino acids, which are the building blocks of life. In turn, these amino acids would have reproduced to form proteins, RNA, and DNA, which are the basic support system of any cell.